Welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of the geometric sequences and series notes. So we're on the second page of the notes here, and up at the top, that first example is actually going to connect with our previous example that we worked on. So I think you can do that one on your own. So what we'll move on is to finding terms if we don't know the common ratio. So for each of these three examples, we don't have the common ratio, but we do have at least two terms. And so we're going to be using that more generic form probably to find the term's common ratio for the sequence. So let's go ahead and look at that first example. So we want to find the 8th term with a sub 3 and a sub 5 known. So we can zoom in over here to do that work. So we know that a sub 5 is going to be equal to a sub 3 times the common ratio 2 times, right? So to get from the third term to the fifth term would be 2 multiplications of the common ratio, which is represented by 5 minus 3. So we get 216 is equal to 6 times r squared. So solving this, we can divide both sides by 6. And we'll end up with 36 equals r squared. So now in order to solve for r, we can square root both sides. And we'll end up with r is equal to 6. Let's see if we agree with that. Take a moment. Hopefully you noticed that we had a quadratic that we were solving for, which means that r could be 6, but it could also be negative 6. So we're going to have two possible values of r here, which means that we don't have enough information to determine whether our common ratio is positive or negative in this case. So we have to consider two possible answers. So then, getting back to the term that we're looking for, that 8th term, we're going to have two scenarios. We're going to have a scenario where r is equal to 6, and r is equal to negative 6. So we actually need two answers for this one. So we'll start with the r equals 6 case. So we're looking for the 8th term. And I'm going to use the third term, which I believe was 6. So our common ratio is 6. So to get from the third term to the 8th term, I need to multiply by 6 5 times. So a sub 8 then is going to equal 6 times 6 to the 5th, which means a sub 8 is just 6 to the 6th power, which if we write that out is 46,656. And what we'll notice here is that plus or minus is really going to give us the same term. So we could still do the same work, so we could do a sub 8. And let's say actually that I wanted to use this 5th term, the 216. So I could do that if I wanted to. So we could do a sub 5 times 6 to the 8 minus 5 would be 3. So then a sub 8 is equal to 216 times 6 cubed. Oh, sorry, negative 6. So then a sub 8 is going to equal negative 6 to the 6, which is negative 46,656. So in these cases where we have plus or minuses, what we're going to see is that the term we end up with is going to be the same except for its sign. So it's either going to be a positive value or a negative value based on the common ratio that we choose. Okay. So the second example is going to be very much like that. The third example is also going to be very much like that, but in that case we want to find the first term. So these two actually I'm going to leave for you to do on your own. So you can go ahead and take a couple minutes, work those out on your own, and then check the notes online. And then we're going to move into the third part, which will be looking at geometric series. So I look